Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. It's Steven here from Powell's Power Ups. I have a lightsaber that I'm putting up for sale today, and this is the overview video for that lightsaber. So whether you're interested in purchasing or are the purchaser, or you're just interested in seeing my work, sit down, get comfortable, and we will go over this lightsaber. So I'm calling this the Quantum Empire Strikes Back Graflex Lightsaber. Why am I calling it that? Well, traditionally, pixel lightsabers have blades that have two strips in there. One strip, two strips, and they're back to back, and that's how they illuminate. But more recently, quantum blades that essentially have four strips inside of them have been coming out. So this one is the KR Saber's version 3 pixel stick, and then the one that actually comes with the saber is a brand new, it's only been used once for testing. This is a SaberTec Quantum lightsaber blade. So let me show you what the inside of these look like. So we have one strip there, and then on the other side we have another strip, okay? But then you'll see on the sides we have LEDs on the sides now that go all the way up. So it's like we have four strips. We have light coming on all four sides. So because we have more LEDs, we're essentially going to need a lot more power to really and efficiently, power that blade and make it super bright and kind of unlock its full potential. So that was the first goal I had in mind as I was, building the hardware in this lightsaber. There are several components that were selected or set up in a way to be able to give these blades all the amps they can possibly have so that they're very beautiful and bright. The second goal that I'll talk about is I wanted it to not only be bright, but I wanted it to be really loud. So we know traditionally the closest you could get to a big speaker in lightsabers was generally a 28 millimeter, about this size right here. But not too long ago, ShtokCustomWorx came out with Titan speakers. Okay, so he has a 33 millimeter and 37. The only way you can use these though is if you have a saber that's actually big enough to put one inside of it. And the Graflex lightsaber is big enough to fit the 33. So we're going up from a 28 millimeter to a 33 millimeter Titan speaker. And yes, they sound really great. They're really loud, really robust. I think Titan is a very appropriate name. So that was the kind of goal here with this Graflex lightsaber, was to make it really bright, really loud, and really high quality. So anything that comes from me, I try my best to do high quality work. I give 1-year warranties with all purchases of my lightsabers for electrical failures. Obviously, if you drop it and break it, that's your fault. But if you're playing with it and it just cuts out on you and quits working, send it back to me. I will repair it and send it back to you, free of charge. So Quantum Blade Titan speaker. Now let's actually get into the lightsaber. So this is a Graflex Shop blemished 3-cell lightsaber. So I did say blemished. That's the ones that they had on sale during the May 4th sale. A lot of these parts I actually got, or some of them I got for a bit cheaper than you normally can get it, because I bought a lot of the parts on May 4th. So, Star Wars Day. So it is blemished. It's not perfect condition. There are natural kind of blemishes on it. There is a link that you can look at down below. It's a link to where these are actually, for sale. And there's a whole section that says, why blemished. So you can kind of read about why it's blemished and learn about that. But it still looks really good. It kind of gives it a natural weathering, realistic look, because it doesn't look perfect. It looks like it's actually existed and been around for a little while. So I'll do like a slow kind of rotation and kind of show you the hilt. So this is the Empire Strikes Back configuration. Instead of having a glass eye in the front, we actually have a second red button. Okay, now that's actually a functional button. Typically, the Graflex lightsabers, we have the main red button on the back as your power, and then some people make the slide switch, the auxiliary. But I actually glued that in place. It's fixed, and I made the second red button our auxiliary button. So there's tactile switches underneath both of them. The blade holder, okay, that holds your blade, the black metal piece on the inside of this, I had to use a Dremel and sand down on the front of it to create a channel for the wires, because it traditionally did not have a spot for a second switch up front. It usually has a spot for a switch here where the slide switch is. But I really like the contrast of having one button in the back and one button in the front. And I really like the feel of the red button. You know, it's big, it's easy to use. You don't really hit it accidentally, not like you would with the slide switch or smaller switches there. The Saber came with the longer brass pins, so I have those inside of there. We have the Phillips head screw on the front there for blade retention. We have some bunny ears here. And then I added the aluminum tape strip over the Graflex clamp. That's part of the Empire Strikes Back configuration. We have the Slothfurnace OTIS-A and B side, Empire Strikes Back vintage clamp card. And then for the grips here, we have the Empire Strike Back grips, but instead of them being rubber like traditionally, OneReplicas makes really nice black anodized aluminum ones, and that's what's on here. So these are actually metal instead of rubber. I don't care for the rubber ones. I mean, they are a little grippy, I guess, for maybe, you know, adding grip on handling the Saber, but after a while they tend to like dry out and get like this white crusty look to them. They're also dust and dirt magnets, and you know, you have to find all these fancy ways to clean them, but the metal ones are very high quality and you don't really run into a lot of issues like that. So you have the metal ones on here, which really adds to the weight of this lightsaber and increases like the quality feel of it. When you show it off to friends and family, you hand it to them, they're gonna be like, wow, this thing's pretty heavy. I actually put it on the scale and weighed it. It's just shy of 1.5 pounds. So it's like 1 pound, 7.2 ounces or something like that. And then the battery is actually not in it. So the battery would probably make it, you know, a little bit above 1.5 pounds. Another thing we have here on the bottom is the specific type of D-ring that goes on the bottom for the Empire Strikes Back. There's a name for it, but I can't remember it right now. But this is the outside look at the lightsaber. Let's go ahead and open it up. So the way that you properly open this up is you take the lever where the clamp is, you open it. It's pretty tight. You slide out your clamp card, because that will slide out on its own. You don't want it to drop and get too scratched up. So you just set that aside. We're going to just give this a little twist over to the left, and carefully we're going to slide this handle down and off, like you see here. Then I'm also going to do the same thing with the clamp itself. I'm going to push it over to the left, and then I'm going to slide it down and off, like you see here. Let's set that aside. So this is the inside of the lightsaber. Yes, it has some metal scuffs and scratches here, but that's just from where the clamp sits from it rotating, because this is like a replica vintage actual Graflex flash gun. So yes, this metal on metal is going to create some scrapes. The blade holder goes to about where my thumb is there, and then there are 440 rods, 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, that go down, and the chassis mounts to those rods. There's a spacer in between. You can see the black spacer there. And then I have these little brass screws that are screwed onto the end of the 440 rods to kind of mount the chassis into place. So I'll give you a look at the chassis here. This is my design. It's resin printed. It's ABS-like resin, so it's a little tougher than regular resin, which is typically pretty brittle and can crack very easily, but the ABS-like resin is a bit tougher, but still handle the lightsaber whenever it's opened like it is delicate and susceptible to breaking or cracking. So I typically handle the lightsaber up by the metal portion here. I don't hold it by the chassis like so. I don't want to put weight on this. But it's resin printed. I painted it with both Pewter rub and buff and gold leaf rub and buff. Gold leaf on this little piece here, and on the greeblies on the inside, lots of little pipes and things like that. It's the same on both sides. Okay, and then I did this pewter on everything else. So on the back side here, we hold an 18650 lithium-ion battery, but not just any kind, okay? Remember earlier we talked about this saber is for quantum blades, okay? So to be able to efficiently power that, I'll show you what I'm talking about. A traditional 18650 lithium-ion battery only goes up to max 15 amp continuous discharge current, okay? We wanted, for these quantum blades, I wanted to get all the way up to 20, and I'll show you why right here. So here we are in the Proffieboard manual, NeoPixel strips current draw. And I want you to also, too, before we start, let's pay special attention to the fact that this is tested at 3.7 volts. Okay, you see that squared up in blue, and generally a fully powered lithium-ion battery is like 4.2 volts, so it'd be a bit more than this. So let's look at number of strips, current total for 3 colors mixed for white with flicker and without. When we scroll down and look at the total current draw for 4 strips, we're looking at 17.7 amps max. So we needed to get at least that as we set up the hardware in this lightsaber to ensure that our blade is as bright as we can get it. So because of that, this 15 max continuous discharge current battery just isn't going to help us get to that goal of 20 amps. So for this lightsaber, and it comes with 2 of them, we have the Keep Power IMR 18650 3120 milliamp hour. These are rated at max constant 30 amp. So these are 30 amp batteries. So these are definitely going to be the powerful enough to efficiently power and get full brightness to this blade. But it doesn't just stop there. A few other things matter too, and we're going to get into that as we move along in the saber here. So that's the kind of battery we have going on here. Spring side is negative. Keep that in mind. If you put your battery in backwards, you can fry everything and damage your electronics, and you don't want to do that. So that's on you if you put it in backwards. Don't put it in backwards. Negative side is spring side. Something else to talk about to make sure we get the appropriate amount of current from the battery to the blade. There's a few things along the way that need to be set up appropriately as well, and that includes the gauge wire. Okay, so let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. So here we are back in the Proffieboard manual. As you can see, to hit the goal of 20 maximum amps in our saber to efficiently power those quantum blades, I either need 17 gauge wire to hit that 19 amp range circled there in blue, or I need to just double up on my 20 at 11 amps will give me 22 amps. So for this reason, all of the positive and negative wires that go from the battery terminals to the board, from the LED pads all the way up to the blade connector, are dual 20 gauge wires. So this is going to make sure I'm getting all of those amps from the battery up to the blade. Okay, so we'll talk about the blade connector here in a bit. I want to finish talking about everything here in the chassis. I got to mention that it has a Proffieboard version 3. So that's what kind of Proffieboard we have in here. It's just sitting down inside of the chassis. You can just lift it up like so to pull out that SD card and access the USB port if you want to do some configuration, but it is already pre-configured by me. It has the latest operating system, which is Profi 7.15. It's also running off of FET263's 2-button prop file, so that's how it operates. I have printed operation instructions here talking about how to operate the lightsaber and how to utilize all the features that are in that operating system. So that comes with the saber as well. There will be a digital copy on the SD card too. The sound fonts that I put on here, obviously Empire Strikes Back Graflex, and I also put on there Father version 2, which is Darth Vader, and I use the Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader sound font on there, both from Kyber Phonic. So a portion of the payment that you pay me for this saber, if you're the purchaser, will actually go to pay for those fonts. So that's on here as well. And then lastly, like we mentioned before, this has a 33 millimeter Titan speaker on the bottom of this chassis. So this thing is just really loud and really rocking. So I'm actually going to put a battery in real quick. I'll put the handle back on and we'll look at the blade connector, and then we'll put a blade in it and fire up a blade and show you what that looks like, to do a little demonstration. Again, look at the label, positive, negative. Make sure the negative, the flat side, goes against the spring. So again, to do this properly, you just push down against that spring to compress it, and then you push the positive end in. So you'll get a boot sound there indicating that it has power. Also, the Proffieboard version 3 has a little green LED on it. So that indicates that it has power too. Has twist on and off. Man, that speaker's so loud. So that's how you put all that on. We're going to start by putting the clamp back on. I'm going to carefully and slowly, so I don't scratch at my chassis, start sliding this clamp up and on. What you do is, you see this little twist and lock section, you're going to line up with those holes. There's little tabs there. So you're going to go up, you're going to twist over, pull down a little bit. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing with the handle. We're gonna go up to that. We're gonna line up the little, the little twist and lock section there with the little hole in the clamp. And we're gonna go over to the right, pull down. Okay, now before we clamp, we have to put our clamp card back in. So we're just gonna slide that up in the little slot here, like so. Lock down that lever, and now we are secure and good to go. So again, this is your power button up here. You have your deflection and lockup and your bunch of other features with that auxiliary button in the front.
If you only knew the power of the dark side. I'm not afraid.
So the last thing to talk about is that blade connector, okay? Again, we have the high amp battery. We have, I didn't mention this, I don't think, but I'm actually using four of the LED pads on the Proffieboard version 3. LED pad 2, 3, 4, and 5. I have a 20 gauge wire on these two, 20 gauge wire on those two, all going up to the blade connector. So let's look at the blade connector and which one I chose for this saber. So again, trying to make sure we hit the goal of 20 amps in the hardware, the blade connector obviously had to meet the standard too. So I chose the NPXL version 4. Here we have the little chart from ShtokCustomWorx showing that his NPXL version 4 connector hits the max current for the blade of 20 amps. So there you have it. That's why I chose to go with the ShtokCustomWorx, version 4 NPXL connector, just so we could make sure we have the capacity to hit that 20 amp goal so we can properly power the Quantum blade. One more thing I want to mention too is the blade plug. It does come with a blade plug from the Graflex shop. This is a pretty nifty little blade plug, high quality. It has the little springy brass tip in the top of it, so that's kind of neat. It is shine through in the sense that NPXL connector is going to shine through on the bottom here and light up this outer rim whenever you put it in. It can be a little tricky getting it in and out with the bunny ears and everything like that. Just take your time with it and it won't be too big of a deal. But we're going to move forward now and go ahead and put in the blade. I'm actually going to go ahead and get out the SaberTec Quantum blade that actually comes with the lightsaber. This is a brand new one from Saber Bay. It has been sanded, so it has a nice frost white look to it. It helps diffuse the light and give it that lightsaber blade glow. Got a little cap that comes on the end of it, little dust cap. Here's the connector here. It's 40 inches long, 1 inch outer diameter is the size that this saber takes. You're gonna need to have a flat head screwdriver to loosen up your blade retention screw. So just loosen that up slightly. Now with these Graflex lightsabers, to insert the blade, you have to pinch these bunny ears, which opens up that little clamp there at the top, which kind of helps grip the blade and hold it in place. Whenever you're inserting the blade, you do not want to do any twisting motion because those pins, they're spring pogo pins that depress against this pad whenever you insert the blade. If you do any twisting, you risk possibly bending and damaging the pin, so you don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna kind of hold it against myself. I'm gonna pinch those bunny ears, and then I'm gonna go straight down and in, all the way down against those pins. And then I can let go of the bunny ears. That pretty much holds it in place. And then I'm gonna tighten up that flathead screw. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna switch cameras to the wide angles, and then we'll do a blade demonstration. Okay, there's wide angle. Let me kill one of the lights here. Kill this one too. It's almost, I'm in my garage. Here we go. Super bright blade. Again, that was the goal with this, was to make sure we set up the hardware in the saber in a way that we just get maximum brightness.
I'm not afraid. dark side.
I even put Vader's breathing on here. So that's like a background track that you can turn on or off. I'll even go into the color change. We'll look at all colors. We'll even do white. Hold on.
Red, orange, dark orange, orange. Gold, yellow, green.
You can hear C3PO.
Aquamarine, cyan, deep sky blue, dodger blue, blue, ice blue, indigo, purple, deep purple, magenta, deep pink, silver, glacier, ice white, light cyan, moccasin, lemon chiffon, Navajo white.
There it is, straight white, fully white blade, no brown color because we're getting all those amps to the blade, not an issue. Looks really great. And as you can hear, that speaker sounds really amazing. I'll see if I can show you. What I did was, because I wanted good sound venting at the end, let me switch back cameras. I wanted that speaker sound to be able to come out of the bottom, and as we know, the bottom of the Graflex is solid. We have this clamp on here too, so underneath the clamp, you can see down inside there, I've drilled two really big holes, as big as I could get them, so that we can get good sound venting out the bottom of this D-ring here. So it works really great. All that sound is able to come out, and it sounds super good.
Now, release your anger. Only your hatred can destroy me.
Amazing lightsaber. So there is the overview video. If you're interested in purchasing, please reach out to me and we can discuss getting this bought and sent out to you. Otherwise, if you're just watching to see some of my work, thank you for watching. I appreciate your support. If you got any comments, leave it down below and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching, and may the force be with you.